They think to be chosen, they have to change. But the women who are truly magnetic, the ones who light up a room, the ones who inspire deep, lasting love, they aren't performing. They're not overthinking how they come across. They know who they are and they stand in it. That kind of self-possession is powerful and it's rare, but it's also something you can develop. It's a skill. It's a decision you make every day to stop abandoning yourself for the sake of being liked. So how do you do it? You start by getting brutally honest, not with anyone else, with yourself. You ask, what do I value? What lights me up? What am I tired of pretending to enjoy? What kind of relationship do I really want? Not what I think I should want, but what I actually want. And here's the key. You listen to the answers, even if they scare you, even if they don't match what everyone around you expects from you. Because if you're not willing to get honest about your truth, you will keep attracting the wrong people, people who like the mask, not the real you. Understanding your identity is not about fixing yourself, it's about finding yourself. That's what confidence is built on. Not fake positivity, not pretending you have it all together, but knowing that no matter what happens, you have your own back. You trust yourself because you know yourself. That's what makes you unstoppable. Let me be clear. You do not need to be perfect to be someone's dream girl. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to look a certain way or follow some script you saw on social media. What you need is clarity, because clarity creates conviction, and conviction is attractive. When you know who you are, you stop trying to convince other people to love you. You become someone who naturally attracts the right energy, the right relationships, and the right love, because you're not trying to be what they want. You're being you. You don't build a dream life by waiting to be chosen. You build it by choosing yourself every damn day. That's how you step into your power. That's how you become the woman who doesn't chase, because she knows she doesn't have to. She knows that the right man, the one with real depth, real integrity, real vision, he doesn't want a woman who loses herself for love. He wants a woman who knows herself so deeply, he's inspired to rise and meet her there. So stop asking, how do I become his dream girl? And start asking, who am I when I'm fully alive, fully expressed, fully me? Because that's where the magic is. That's where love begins. Not when you change yourself for someone else, but when you remember who you are and finally decide to live like it. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's not something you're born with or without. It's not reserved for the loudest person in the room or the one who's always sure of themselves. Confidence is a skill. Just like learning a language or lifting weights at the gym, you build it over time through repetition, discomfort, and action. And the truth is, if you want to become someone's dream girl, not in a fake performative way, but in a way that is grounded in real, lasting connection, you need to understand how to build that confidence from the inside out. Most women are waiting for confidence to arrive before they take action. They're waiting to feel ready before they speak up, set a boundary, ask for what they want, or walk away from what doesn't serve them. But that's not how it works. Confidence doesn't show up first. Action does. You don't wake up one day magically feeling sure of yourself. You wake up scared, unsure, and maybe even doubting your worth. But you take the action anyway. That's how you build trust with yourself. That's how you rewire your brain to believe, hey, I can handle this. Every time you do the thing you were afraid of, whether it's starting a conversation, saying no, trying something new, or being vulnerable, your brain logs that moment as evidence. And over time, those moments stack up. They build a foundation of real confidence, not the fake kind that relies on validation, but the kind that says, even if I mess up, I'm still worthy. Even if I fail, I'll still show up again tomorrow. That's what separates women who move through life with power from those who stay stuck in their heads, second guessing everything. And I need you to hear this. Confidence is not about being perfect. It's not about never feeling insecure. It's about knowing how to move forward anyway. It's about being willing to try, to risk, to fail, and not make it mean something about your worth. You can't control how other people see you, but you can control how you shrink yourself or take up space. You can control whether you silence your truth or speak it with courage. Think about the women who inspire you, the ones who walk into a room and you just feel their presence. It's not because they're the most beautiful or the smartest or the most successful. It's because they trust themselves. They're not trying to perform. They're grounded. They know who they are and they don't apologize for it. That kind of energy is magnetic. And it's not something they were born with. It's something they practice every single day. You don't have to do something huge to build confidence. It starts with small choices. Choosing to get up when you feel like quitting. Choosing to speak honestly when it's easier to stay quiet. Choosing to take care of yourself instead of chasing someone who isn't meeting you halfway. Every time you make a decision that aligns with your values, you build confidence. Every time you act in integrity, even when no one is watching, you build self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of every great relationship you'll ever have. You want to be a dream girl? Then stop abandoning yourself. Stop betraying your intuition just to be liked. Stop overthinking every word, every move, every text. Confidence doesn't come from playing small. It comes from owning who you are. It comes from knowing that you're not perfect, but you're real, and real is what lasts. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. The right man doesn't need you to be flawless. He needs you to be you, confident, self-awareness, in progress. He's not falling in love with your highlight reel. He's falling in love with a woman who knows her value, who knows what she brings to the table, and who isn't afraid to walk away if that value isn't seen. So start treating confidence like the muscle it is. Work it, stretch it, use it, get uncomfortable on purpose. Because every time you do, you're becoming stronger. You're becoming the kind of woman who doesn't chase love, she attracts it. And not by changing herself, but by believing in herself. That's what confidence really is. That's how you become unstoppable. Emotional maturity is one of the most underrated yet powerful qualities you can develop as a woman. It's not talked about enough in the conversations around love and relationships, but it's the glue that holds everything together. You can be beautiful, successful, confident, but if you don't know how to manage your emotions, communicate with clarity, or handle conflict with grace, none of it will matter in the long run. Because real connection, deep, lasting, soul-level connection, requires emotional intelligence. It requires a woman who doesn't just react, but responds. A woman who knows how to lead herself before she tries to lead a relationship. This is where most people get it wrong. They think emotional maturity means suppressing how you feel. They think it means never crying, never getting upset, never needing anything. But emotional maturity isn't about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about being honest with yourself first. It's about being able to sit with your feelings without letting them control your actions. You can feel angry without blowing up. You can feel sad without shutting down. You can feel triggered and still choose to show up with grace. That is power. That is growth. That is what makes you unforgettable. See, the emotionally mature woman doesn't expect a man to complete her or fix her. She's not placing her happiness in someone else's hands. She takes full responsibility for her emotional experience. That doesn't mean she does it all alone. It means she owns how to express what she needs without blame. She knows how to have hard conversations without running from discomfort. She can hold space for another person's feelings without making it all about her. That's the kind of presence that invites depth and trust. And you don't get there by accident. You get there by practicing self-awareness, by asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where is this coming from? Am I reacting to the present moment or to something from my past? You learn to pause before you respond. You learn to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. Because when you understand your emotional patterns, you stop projecting them onto the people around you. A lot of women lose themselves in relationships because they confuse intensity with intimacy. They think drama equals passion. But emotional chaos doesn't build love, it breaks it down. What builds love is safety. And emotional maturity creates that safety. When you're grounded in yourself, when you can regulate your nervous system and meet challenges with calm instead of chaos, you become a safe space, not just for others, but for yourself. That's when people can trust you. That's when love can actually grow. Think about it. When you're dating or in a relationship, what makes someone feel like a dream partner? It's not just chemistry. It's how you handle tough moments. It's how you show up when things aren't easy. Anyone can be fun and flirty when everything's going great. But the real test of who you are and the kind of partner you'll attract is how you move through conflict. Do you lash out? Do you shut down? Or do you stay open, curious, and grounded? The emotionally mature woman is rare because she does the inner work. She's not just focused on looking good or sounding good. She's focused on being good with herself. She takes time to heal. She takes time to reflect. She doesn't rush into relationships just to fill a void. She knows that her peace is priceless, and she protects it. And that energy is magnetic. So if you want to be the kind of woman who inspires deep respect and deep love, start by building emotional maturity. Practice patience with yourself. Give yourself grace when you get it wrong. And commit to learning from your experiences instead of running from them. You're not going to get it perfect every time, and that's okay. Emotional maturity isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about owning your stuff and choosing to grow from it. And here's what happens when you do that. You start attracting people who are also emotionally mature. You stop tolerating emotional games. You stop falling for people who can't meet you where you are because your energy shifts. Your standards rise, and you start to realize that love built on emotional maturity isn't just possible. It's worth waiting for. It's worth building. And you are absolutely capable of becoming the woman who makes that kind of love not just possible, but there is something magnetic about a woman who is living with purpose. She walks differently. She speaks differently. Her energy is undeniable, not because she's trying to be noticed, but because she's lit up from the inside. That light doesn't come from being in a relationship or getting validation or chasing attention. It comes from knowing why she's here and what she's meant to do. A woman who is connected to her purpose is powerful, and that power is what makes her unforgettable. Too often, women are taught to center their lives around relationships. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that finding love is the ultimate goal. But here's the truth. Love is not the destination. You are your growth, your joy, your calling, your sense of fulfillment that exists whether or not someone else is in the picture. That's what creates lasting attraction. That's what makes you stand out, because a woman who is chasing her purpose isn't needy. She's focused. She's not trying to be chosen. She's choosing herself. When you live in alignment with your purpose, you radiate a kind of confidence that can't be faked. You're not trying to prove your worth. You already know it. You're not molding yourself into who you think someone else wants you to be. You're too busy becoming who you want to be. That authenticity, that direction, that passion, it's captivating. People can feel it when they're around you. You don't even have to say a word. Your energy says it all. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. and I'm not waiting for anyone to save me or validate me. That's the woman people remember. That's the woman people admire. And that's the woman the right man wants by his side, not because she needs him, but because she's already whole. She brings value to the table, not through perfection, but through presence. She knows her mission, and she's not afraid to pursue it. She's not distracted by drama or desperate for attention because her life is already full of meaning, full of impact, full of moments that matter. Purpose is what gives you direction when everything else feels uncertain. It's the anchor that keeps you steady. When you know what you're building, you stop wasting energy on things that don't align. You stop saying yes to situations that drain you. You stop entertaining people who don't see your value, because you have something bigger you're working toward. And that clarity makes you incredibly attractive, not just to others, but to yourself. There's nothing more empowering than waking up every day knowing you're living on purpose. And here's the beautiful part. Your purpose doesn't have to be something grand or public. It can be the way you care for others, the art you create, the business you're building, the message you're sharing, the healing you're doing. Purpose isn't about achievement. It's about alignment. It's about listening to your intuition and following the path that lights you up, even if no one else understands it yet. When you're aligned with that path, you don't just attract love, you attract the right kind of love, the kind of love that supports you, that grows with you, that doesn't ask you to dim your light, because you're not shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's world, you're expanding your own. And the right partner, he's not threatened by that, he's inspired by it. He wants to walk beside a woman who's going somewhere, who has vision, who brings passion into everything she does. So if you're asking yourself how to become someone's dream girl, start here. Focus on your purpose. Build a life that you're proud of. Get clear on what excites you, what drives you, what fulfills you. Pour your energy into becoming the woman you admire. Because when you're lit up by your own life, you stop chasing people to fill a void. You become the flame. And the right person will be drawn to that light without you having to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to be louder, sexier, or more likable. You just need to be aligned. Because when a woman is in her purpose, she doesn't compete, she doesn't compare, she simply shines. And that shine, that's what makes her irresistible. Not because she's trying, but because she's being. That's what purpose does. It makes you magnetic. It makes you powerful. And most importantly, it makes you you. Feminine power is one of the most misunderstood forces in the world. Somewhere along the way, people started associating femininity with weakness, submission, or fragility, but real feminine energy, it's strong. It's grounded. It's deeply intuitive, and it has the capacity to shift everything around it without needing to dominate. When a woman fully owns her feminine power, she becomes magnetic, not because she's trying to be anything other than herself, but because she's rooted in something ancient, wise, and unshakable. Too many women have been taught to dim their feminine traits in order to succeed, to be taken seriously, or to protect themselves from being hurt. We've been told to toughen up, to compete, to suppress our emotions, and stay logical at all times. But feminine power isn't about being emotional all the time or acting passive. It's about flow. It's about receptivity. It's about creation. Feminine energy doesn't push. It draws in. It doesn't shout. It resonates. That is a different kind of strength, one that the world desperately needs more of. When you embrace your feminine power, you stop seeing softness as a liability. You understand that vulnerability is not weakness. It's a superpower. Being able to express your emotions, to feel deeply, to connect from the heart. That's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be celebrated. Because when you allow yourself to feel, You allow yourself to heal. You connect more authentically. You create space for intimacy. That's what builds deep, lasting love. Feminine power is also fiercely protective. It sets boundaries. It doesn't tolerate disrespect. It knows its worth. Just because a woman is kind and nurturing doesn't mean she's a pushover. It moves with intention. It doesn't beg for love. It becomes love. And that shift in energy changes everything, because when you stop seeking validation outside of yourself, you reclaim your center. You stop trying to prove and start simply being. So what does it actually look like to own your feminine power in your day-to-day life? It means trusting your intuition instead of overriding it. It means listening to your body, honoring your emotions, and not feeling the need to apologize for being sensitive or passionate. It means creating beauty, whether in your home, your work, or your conversations. It means allowing yourself to receive not just compliments or help, but love, support, and rest. Receiving is a deeply feminine trait, and yet so many women struggle with it because they've been conditioned to believe they must always be giving to be valuable. But true feminine power is balanced. It gives, but it also allows itself to be given to. It nurtures others, but it doesn't abandon itself. A woman in her feminine power knows how to hold space for her emotions, for her dreams. She doesn't rush. She doesn't compete. She trusts in divine timing. She understands that her energy is precious and she invests it wisely. In relationships, this kind of energy is irresistible because it's rare. The world is full of people performing, pretending, trying to win the game of love by being the most impressive, the most accomplished, the most desirable. But a woman in her feminine doesn't play those games. She's not trying to impress. She's grounded in who she is. She knows that the right man will recognize her power, not because she screams it, but because she embodies it. That's what makes her unforgettable. You don't need to harden yourself to survive. You don't need to silence your intuition to be taken seriously. You don't need to hide your softness to be respected. Your feminine power is not something to suppress. It's something to step into. And when you do, everything changes. You begin to attract people and experiences that resonate with your truth. You stop settling for half-hearted love or shallow attention. You realize that your presence alone is enough. The most magnetic woman is not the loudest in the room. She's the one who walks in and doesn't need to say a word because her energy speaks for her. She knows who she is. She moves with grace. She stands in her power. And she doesn't try to become someone's dream girl, because by being fully herself, she already is. That is feminine power. And when you own it, you stop chasing the life you want and start naturally drawing it in.